This week on It Speaks, we have a question from Caelin, and he says, how do you find ways to ground yourself in moments where you feel you made mistakes and can't take them back? How do you healthily process these feelings? Especially in relationships, I find it difficult to give myself grace when I failed and only realize this failure after it's too late. Much love. Well, Caelin, I feel this one deep in my bones. I too have recently had to confront myself and deal with forgiving myself as well. In recent times, I've made a choice and a decision where in the moment I thought I was making the right decision, but in hindsight, I think it was the wrong decision, but it's too late. It's in the past. I can't change that decision. I can't take it back. And it's something that I've had to live with, and it's been heavy on my heart. So I empathize. I know exactly how this feels, and I'm no expert on self-forgiveness, and I'm still learning how to forgive myself daily. And as you probably know and feel, self-forgiveness is not a linear path. So Caelin, here are some things that I've been trying that have been helpful in my own journey of self-forgiveness, and hopefully these can help you as well too. First and foremost, I've had to constantly move towards a place of acceptance and understand that the decision that I've made is now in the past. It can't be changed, reversed, or undone. And acceptance is really the only way forward. And I can't rewind time. No amount of ruminating is going to change anything. You know, I've had to live with the decisions I've made and accept myself and learn to love myself in spite of those decisions, and trust that I've made the best choice that I could with the tools that I was equipped with in that particular moment in time. Even when it feels like I've gotten it all wrong, you know, I've had to constantly tell myself I did the best I could. Secondly, I think allowing myself to feel the feelings and at the same time also practice letting them go, as opposed to suppressing my feelings and hiding them deep within my soul in some dark closet somewhere. You know, whatever grief you're carrying, you know, no matter how heavy it is on your heart, especially when it comes to making mistakes in relationships, allowing yourself to feel the emotions and telling yourself that these are just thoughts. They're just feelings and they will pass. They don't define me, and these thoughts and feelings of pain are not forever. They are in my past. This has really helped me to make the regret feel temporary and make space for self-forgiveness to have a voice. Another thing that's really helped me is journaling. I used to never be big on journaling, mainly because my handwriting is very poor and I've always found it cumbersome to write on a piece of paper with a real pen. But in recent times, I've actually found a method of journaling that really works for me, and that's using speech to text to speak into my iPhone into an Apple Note. And I can actually cover a lot of ground in this way. You know, I can say a lot and I can get my thoughts down, and I'll just try to get as much down in the moment as I can. And then at the end of the day, I'll go back and reread what I've spoken into my phone and correct all the grammatical mistakes. And I'll be able to reflect on, you know, what I've put down in the notes app for the day. And it's been a good way to keep myself accountable for how I'm speaking to myself. And it's also been a good way for me to see how far I've come. It's been a really good way to track my progress and growth as a human being. And I highly recommend it. I really do. Nowadays I journal about everything, not just my feelings or emotions or what I'm going through on a daily basis, but I journal about my creative process. I journal about everything now. And it's really been one of the most powerful tools of personal growth for myself. Can't recommend it enough. And another thing that's helped me, and this goes hand in hand with the daily journaling, is putting down some positive affirmations and jotting down one thing that I'm grateful for and one thing that I'm proud of myself for on a daily basis. Speaking to myself positively and telling myself that I accept myself, I forgive myself, I love myself, that I did the best that I could with what I had, and not speaking down on myself, not insulting myself or shaming myself, truly owning and practicing forgiveness towards myself. And gratitude can come in the form of framing things in a different way. Obviously, what you're talking about is something that's been heavy on your heart with someone that you were in a romantic relationship with. And although it's hard right now for you to approach things with gratitude, you can be grateful that you got to experience a love this profound. And even though it hurts this bad, you can be grateful that it wasn't just some random relationship that meant or felt like nothing. Instead, it was the opposite. You really got to feel something. You got to feel alive. And although it hurts right now, you got to have your heart wide open, and you got to love deeply, and you were loved deeply. And I personally think that's better to have experienced something that deep and that profound than to have never experienced it before. Another thing that's helped me is to change the story that I've made up for myself. When I found it hard to forgive myself, I was carrying around this story full of regret and wondering why these things were happening to me, why I still haven't learned these hard lessons after all these years, why I still keep repeating the same patterns, like what's wrong with me? And I think self-reflection and self-examination are important, and I think it's important to take inventory and hold ourselves accountable. But at a certain point in time, we need to begin to change the story and tell ourselves a different story. Obviously, right now, you're in a world of pain. And yes, you are going to feel grief and sadness. And healing from this grief is not a linear process. But eventually, you can change the story from being heartbroken and devastated to being grateful that it happened. Being grateful that you were lucky enough to share a moment in time with someone that incredible and that special. That's a gift, not a given. And finally, something that's really helped me has been to look at all of this like a learning lesson, that this moment was meant to teach me something and prepare me to be better next time. That although self-forgiveness is hard and the air of regret lingers, that the silver lining in all this is that I'm arming myself with all of the necessary tools so that I'm going to do my best to ensure that I don't make the same mistakes again. So that the next time when I'm at a crossroads and presented with another hard decision, I'll be equipped to navigate it in the best way possible. So Caelin, I feel for you. No matter how heartbroken you might feel right now, understand that this is the stepping stone to the next chapter in the book of life. And the fact that you're willing to look inward and ask yourself these hard questions is already a huge step in the right direction towards personal growth. And I'm proud of you. I hope my perspective helped, and I empathize with you. I really do. And I'm rooting for you. Let me know how it goes. And for the rest of you, if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. If you have a question, an idea, or a thought, please leave it in the comments below. If I think it resonates with enough people, I'll speak on it. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful day.